Hello. So I've been seeing a lot of people doing tier lists of characters in the game. Now I'm aware that these are quite subjective, and therefore I will say that ahead of time. Some of these characters I have, some of these characters I've played, some of them I've spent maybe an hour on and then transitioned to somebody else. But I've also been doing a lot of end game content, and that allows me to kind of see how characters perform. So some of them last a very long time, do a lot of damage. It makes it easy if there's one element like one animal person, and you can see those numbers very clearly. So you're aware if they're doing a lot, if they're not doing a lot. So and also some of these have different builds, and certain ones will be better than others. So this is just overall. So I'm going to rank these from using this tier list here from SS to D, and then I'll do another tier list right at the end, which I think is a little more fun. I'm not going to be ranking the characters that are not even here because I feel like they're just not needed. Um, yeah, I mean, no one really knows how well they're going to perform because they may not even come out the same way that they maybe existed in the betas. Alright, so I'm starting off first with Amber. Amber I'm going to place in C tier because over the month since the game's release, there have been people that have been playing Amber and doing really well with her. Despite the weirdness of her scaling, she actually isn't as bad as some people initially thought. But she serves a very specific role and it is quite difficult to build. But if you want a ranged character, and let's say you don't have Venti or Official, then you can use Amber and you can make her work. Now, Barbara. I'm going to place Barbara probably in B tier. As a basically free healer, she does the job and she does it well. However, she doesn't do anything in regards to being fun. So some of these people I will give slightly higher ratings because at the end of the day it's a game and you should be enjoying who you're playing. Barbara is actually really boring. The only I guess interesting part with Barbara would be to build it a certain way for damage. Then you can get huge numbers, and that could be really fun, one-shotting characters. However, as a general healer, you just aim to get her health up, which does allow you to put certain artifacts onto her that maybe have half HP, sorry, all HP, percentage, and then flat and percent HP on the substat as well as the main, and maxing those out and getting like 30,000 HP on her and having huge heals is awesome. But at the same time, I'm not exactly. She's quite boring, but she does well for what she needs to do. And I would say if you just want a dedicated healer, she's good. However, be aware that using her E will make your characters wet, and therefore any cryo attack will freeze them. So that's something to know. Uh, Beto. I'm going to place Beto in probably in S tier, because I'm thinking of her alongside Razer. Now, Razer and Beto, I think they both. Actually, this will be easier for me to explain. I'll do this, but don't discount. Don't. She's close to C, let's say. This will be easier to kind of separate them. Um, I will say this. Beto is really strong. She does do a lot of damage, and I like the fact that she has a mechanic attached to her skills, which actually makes her so much more interesting compared to someone like Razor, who I've been running as my main DPS for the whole month basically since the first day I think I drew him. I have no constellations on him, but I have made him my primary DPS, and he does just so much for me. But she's quite fun. She has more utility. She does more for the team, whilst Razor's quite reliant on others. Bennett. Bennett, I think, is a very good character. He's much better as a support than he is as a damage dealer, and I feel like he's also not the best in terms of healing. So someone like Barbara is a better healer than Bennett, but he gives an attack speed boost. But he also can do some damage if you build him right, and his scaling does allow for that. So I will say that Bennett is a nice solid B tier, and a lot of characters should just be judged based off how they compare to Bennett. He was underplayed before, probably C, maybe even really high D grade when people first started, but that's sort of changed over the month since the beginning. I'll put is it Chongyon? Is that how you say it? Him in B tier as well. He's a really good support unit. He can do damage as well, but he's really useful as a cryo for elements. So I'll say he goes into B. Diluc, I will say he's probably SS tier because comparing the damage between him and Razer, he does beat out Razer ever so slightly. There's bigger numbers I've seen when playing with people. I do like his playstyle. I will still always use Razer over Diluc, even if I got Diluc, just because I really like Razer's design. The steroid and things like that are really nice, but I do feel like Diluc is here in SS tier. For official, I'd say same situation. Really good support, really good DPS. I won't want to put her on SS tier because it just feels like you have enough space here to separate them, and I feel like she just belongs here. She does serve a very different purpose to someone like Razer. She has the range, she can do more support, whereas Razer's quite basic. Jean, I think I would say she's probably A tier. I don't think she does as much damage as some of the other counterparts. Her heal is really strong too. I do feel like she would belong somewhere in A tier. For obviously very specific builds, that does change. Kaya, I think, is a nice C tierer. Very strong cryo. Can the ability to use his ult and then switch onto another character and have that still circling them is really, really useful. Helps if you have something like Zhang Li as well as Kaya in the same team. They can go ahead and activate both of their abilities, and I think they both circle around them, so you get both fire and ice, and whatever element the person that you switch to is. Kaching, I think, is also S. Kaching is very different to someone like Razer in my opinion. It feels a lot less physical than I will build my Razer. It feels like a lot of the abilities have a dashing around. Very different playstyle, really fun. If you can get certain weapons on her, she does become really, really strong. Clee, I think Clee would sit for me in A tier. Clee does require a lot more support, I think, because even her abilities require you to basically throw the bombs in the right places, be really close to the enemy. If you don't have a dedicated healer for her or any shields, anything like that, she will get blown up. So I do feel like she belongs nicely in A tier. She does her job, she does it well, but she needs a lot of support, while someone like Kaching, Razer, Fischl, Diluc, Beto even can do their own on sort of thing to sustain themselves. She does need a lot of support, so I'm finding that as I'm using Clee, I need to use Sucrose just to be able to get her bombs off and actually keep her alive, so I may do, for example, E with her, then walk in with Sucrose. Speaking of Sucrose, I think Sucrose for me is here, but I'd use them together to guarantee a big combo, and it works really well. Plus they have the same eyes. So with Sucrose, she's a dedicated support, but she also does a lot of supporting for her team. So I would personally say she's here, but for very different reasons. In terms of damage, some of these characters are not, they have some damage, but they're not dedicated. She's support, and as a support, she slots in here. This is like an overall tier list rather than just going ahead and putting people based on just purely DPS, because for you to reach that DPS, you need just the enablement of the other characters, and you just can't do that. Lisa, I think Lisa is probably here, if not even here. I'm tempted to put her in D, and I think for myself personally, I will put her in D. Do I? I mean, I think, okay, I'll put her here because using her elemental skills is quite easy. So you can go ahead and make a whole area lightning, and put that on, and do elemental reactions. So as a support, she makes it a bit easier, I guess, but it is what it is. Put Mona probably in A tier. Same as Jean, Clee. They sort of have their own positions. Support Mona is really strong. DPS Mona does require a lot of commitment. She doesn't do as much, and she's quite janky. Like I said, this list is subjective, and for me, her movement, her abilities are a little confusing. I didn't really like the way it felt, so for me personally, I'll put her in A tier. Just don't find her that appealing. Ningguang, I think she's a nice B tierer. She does what she needs to do. She's quite fun. She does the damage when she needs to. She has some support stuff as well. So I think it's a nice B tier. For some of these, I'm not going to go into as much detail. Um, Noelle. Noelle is an interesting one. Initially, most people gravitated away from Noelle. If you go to AR40, try to do the harder domains, some characters you never see. So you will see Barbara as a main healer. Everyone has it. Everyone uses it. It's all good. You don't see Beto at all. You see some Jeans. You see some Clees. Nowadays, you don't see any Sucrose at all. I've seen maybe one or two Monas. It's a very weird thing, and like every match has a Diluc. So clearly the people have favorites. But some of these also just don't fit too well. But Noelle is improving. People know how to build her now, and people can see how much she can do. So she works well as a support. I'll put her in B because I feel like she's not as bad as people initially presumed. Kiki, she's probably I'll put her in A tier as well as Jean. Both have a heal. Both obviously use two different elements. She's a bit more. I'd say she's a bit more supportive than Jean is. Jean can be used much more for elemental reactions, moving things around, that sort of thing with like her E. Has a lot more utility by throwing enemies off like cliffs and things like that. So she's quite useful. But Kiki's quite nice. There's not too many good cryo apart from these two. So having her, it's quite nice. She is better than him, I believe, because she provides both things. She provides the cryo and the healing. I'll skip over these for later. I think Venti is an S tierer. I don't think he's SS. He's good, but not. I wouldn't say he's amazing. Because for me personally, again, personal list, he doesn't pick up the bombs for Clee, which makes him really just not as good as Sucrose for me. However, I know that he's really strong, and if you go into domains and bring in a Venti, he actually does a lot more for you than you'd think. He drags in all the mobs to one area. That means AoE is stronger. Clee at that point can throw her bombs at the thing, but it just feels like you have to get a very strong kind of pattern together to execute things properly. But I think he's a nice S tier. Zhang Li, I think, is an A tier overall. The radius of both how far out her Q works, as well as how wide it is, makes it really good for reactions. She's quite strong damage-wise as well. One of the best damage dealers in the game. Her E is quite good for just removing cryo shields, things like that. It works. This guy, to be fair, I can't really tell you. I've only seen him once, a single time, and it was a level 60 in a level 80 dungeon that used him. I don't know how good he is. No one seems to use him. I never see people use him in videos. So I'm going to praise him nicely here in B tier, because if people don't use him, clearly there's something lacking with him. People say not to sleep on him, but until I learn more, I'm going to keep him here. I think the Anemo sits here, the Traveler. I think around like B tier. Can improve, and I think eventually will kind of go here once you get all the constellations unlocked. I think they can nicely fit in, so I think here is quite good. Well, yeah, for me personally here, Geo is about here. Does a lot of damage, but it just pisses me off with domains and putting those E's up and walls everywhere and just having to run around crap and barely able to even jump up them. It's just annoying. And of course, I'm not going to put him in anywhere because he's not out. And Paimon, I think Paimon can be an S tier for obvious reasons. Alright, now speaking of Paimon, this is my list for the characters. So you have Diluc and Paimon as S tier. SS tier, S tier is Razer, Fischl, Kaching, and Venti. A tier is Beto, Jean, Clee, Sucrose, Mona, Kiki, and Xianling. B tier, B for Bennett, Chongyon, I think that's his name, how do you pronounce it? Ningguan, Noelle, Jinky, I think I can't remember. The Animal Traveler, Barbara, Kaya, Lisa, Geo Traveler, and then Amber here. I think she can potentially even go here. If you build her right, you can even get her up here. So I wouldn't say to if you have a level 60 Amber and you're level 60 all around, I wouldn't say to just drop her, because at that point you can still invest into her and make her well. As long as you are aware of what her role is, she will likely not be your main damage dealer. She'll be a nice support for doing your abilities, but if you do get her up, she will be able to do a lot. Now, to finish this off, here's another tier list. So I'm doing as well, probably put it in the title, I'm doing an emergency food tier list. So This is based on the meme about food. So I've got tiers of gourmet, delish, tasty, in a pinch, shit, and ass. This is based on how good they will be if we had to have them as emergency food. So first things first, I think I need to put Kiki at ass tier. She's a zombie. Don't think she'll be tasty. I think tasty on Diluc, and as well as a delish on Zhang Li for that fiery spice. Sucrose I think will be delish, it's in the name. Razer probably tastes like maybe works in a pinch with the wolf boy. Bennett probably works in a pinch. Clee is probably quite tasty. I think Noel will be kind of shit, kind of gravelly taste. Same goes for the Traveler. I think Venti's got some godlike taste. I think he may be delish. You can be asked because I don't know who the hell you are. I know it's Zhao, but I don't really care. Beto, I think should be quite nice. Jean, looks like she's quite high up in the Knights of Favonia, so probably quite tasty, quite clean, kind of aired out. Probably too cold. I want hot food. I mean, do I even need to say anything about this? Probably works in a pinch. Geo again, I have a feeling that all the Geos have a bit of a kind of sand in them. So Animal Traveler works in a pinch. I think Amber would be, again, spicy, but she's works in a pinch. So I think this is the fire element tier list for taste. There you go. Mona, I think quite watered down, so I think just works in a pinch. Same goes for him. I think Barbara is similar to her sister. Cold again, don't care. And then I think Fischl will work in a pinch. I don't think anyone can beat Paimon in the emergency food department. But other than that, this is my tier list for the gourmet food. So just drop back quickly to this, just to kind of go over it. Let you take a look. Sorry if your character isn't here. For your own information, I currently run Razer. I run Clee, Sucrose, as well as Barbara in my team. I have played a bit with Amber, Kaya, Geo Traveler, Anemo Traveler, Noel, Zhang Li, and Bennett properly. I played with all characters properly, so my view will be subjective. I did request someone to send me some pictures of their tier lists from rank 37 all the way to 48. Theirs does vary a lot too, so don't be surprised if yours isn't even close to that. Anyway, that's my tier list. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to try to do more content for Genshin. It's been quite fun. I've been away for a while. I've sort of tried to stream. There's 3 streams around out right now on the channel. You can watch the VODs of those. Me going from rank 35, I think, to 40. I'm currently 43, rank 43, and about halfway to 44. So I'll continue, whenever I feel like it, making these videos. But for now, I'm going to go have dinner. So hope you enjoyed. And yeah, stick around if you want some more.